Good evening. Welcome to our show, Ghosts Are Near, where we discuss and actively explore various aspects of the paranormal. I am Keith Johnson, the co-founder of New England Anomalies Research, and we're going to have a very exciting show this evening because I have two very wonderful guests on here with me. They are members of the New England Society for Psychic Research, NESPR. Now, for those of you who may not know, that was founded by Ed and Lorraine Warren, none other than Ed and Lorraine, back in 1952, way back. And that's before paranormal investigation, as we know it, was not really that well known. And they founded that in Monroe, Connecticut. Of course, these men are keeping on the tradition, and it's led by Tony Spera.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. And of course,
Correct.
Tony was Ed and Lorraine's son-in-law. And these men are very prominent in NASPR. And they get down to the really heavy cases sometimes. Not just cemetery investigations, things like that. I mean, the really heavy things where it can be very, very potentially dangerous, getting into the non-human entities such as demonology and such. So I want to very cordially welcome Dan Rivera and Eric Vitale.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's an honor being on your show.
Round of applause here.
Thanks.
Honored to have you. Well, let me get started by, you both did work with Lorraine Warren while she was still living, correct?
Yes.
Dan did.
All right.
Dan, yes.
Worked with her.
Mm-hmm. And how did you first become involved in NESPR?
Well, I had my my own paranormal group at the time before I got involved with the Warrens. Reason why I got into the paranormal, living in a home that people would say would be haunted. But,
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't a haunted house. It was more of a demonic influence.
Yeah.
I had an aunt that dabbled in Santeria,
Oh, really?
which affected the whole family that lived in this four-family home. That's how I got involved because I needed the answers, what was happening to us while we were growing up.
Mm-hmm.
My brother, come to find out on my mother's deathbed that he became under possession. I think I was only about 6 years old at the time.
Wow, so you were exposed to this at a very, very young age.
Right. And a lot of family things with people dealing with the Santeria and stuff like that, which got me involved, looking for answers and trying to figure out why this stuff was happening to me. I will hear voices, I will see apparitions, I would see demons living in this house, being pulled out of bed, thrown into a wall.
Wow.
So that's how I got involved with the paranormal, studying a lot. Ended up meeting the Warrens and working with Lorraine. And Lorraine took me under her belt and mentored me, tested my abilities.
Couldn't ask for better.
Couldn't ask for better, and I really wanted to help people because of what I went through in life.
Excellent. So very altruistic motivation led
Right.
you into this field. How about you, Eric? How did you get involved?
I've been investigating for about a decade now.
Mm-hmm.
I got involved with NESPR around 2016. I was friends with everyone. But the tail end of 2019, I moved to Connecticut and I joined NESPR. When I was younger, though, that's when I really got into the whole field. My aunt and uncle lived in a haunted house in New Jersey.
Uh-huh.
And I would go there a lot. And my youngest cousin had an imaginary friend, which I learned was actually a ghost named Murmur. And ever since I was a child, I was very fascinated by the paranormal, but that is really what started it for me, was my aunt and uncle's house in Glen Ridge, New Jersey. I personally never saw the entity that was in that house, but my brother had some experiences. My cousins did, and it was always very frightening as like a 10-year-old child being in a house, hearing all these stories. And then as I got older, I got very into the Warrens. I read all their books. I was very influenced by them, and I just wanted to start investigating on my own. And before long, I met Dan, I met Tony, I met everyone on NESPR, and it's a path that I've been on for quite some time now.
Yeah, met Eric outside in the parking lot of one of our events.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And
An evening with Annabelle.
yeah.
Evening with Annabelle.
He just kept on coming around. It's like, he's a good guy, and it's like, he wanted to be a part of the team, and we felt that, he would be a good fit. So
It's an
here we are
honor
today.
To work alongside investigators, somebody like Jimmy Pettinito.
Yeah, Jimmy's been around for a while.
Rick Clark. These guys were investigating haunted houses with Ed and Lorraine like 30 years ago.
Well, not back in the 90s, that's when they started.
Yeah, exactly. So meeting Tony Spera and becoming a member of NESPR, what was that like for you? I mean, sitting down, it's not really a normal conversation when you sit down with, it can be, when you first meet each other, but
Right.
when you've been through what Lorraine Warren had been through and what Tony Spera has been through, exposed to over the years, and that's the point I like to make, that a lot of people see this on TV and wow, that's exciting, it's
Right.
fun. Well, it is exciting, it can be very exciting, but a lot of people do become interested in the work, as we call it, because they are exposed to it at some point with their own families,
Yes.
their own childhood and such like that. And so you must have shared quite a few stories with Tony before even working with him.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, I was doing paranormal investigating prior to this, and I was falling on a lot of cases that the Warrens worked on. And that's how they got involved in, with me, going on the same cases that Ed and Lorraine investigated this house, 20 years prior. Ed had a lot of knowledge.
Yes,
a lot of knowledge that we can't comprehend. But Tony is remarkable because Tony's like a sponge. Tony remembers word by word of what Ed taught him. And it's like talking to Ed. I mean, how Tony would come out and explain things to us. And so what Tony learned from Ed, he learned that little bit of knowledge from Ed. And that goes a long way. And he passed that on to us. And working with Lorraine, it was just amazing working with Lorraine, learning about this field and how she saw this field through her eyes and, helping clients, the love of it, the compassion of it.
Yes.
And doing it for the right reasons. And I took that from Lorraine. And I will hold that to close to me for the rest of my life because Lorraine was like my grandmother, and I was there till the day she had passed away. And I promised her that I will stick around, keep working with Tony, and keep on the work that they started.
Right. So both of you are literally carrying on the Warrens' legacy.
Right.
It's like the next generation.
Yeah, there's some pretty big shoes to fill, and sometimes to me, am I worthy of it, and people say, what are you, are you a demonologist, are you a psychic? People said that I am psychic. Lorraine knew that I had abilities. The demonologist aspect of it, I know a lot about demonology, but I never give myself a title. These gifts that were given to me, I only use them when they come to me. It's one of the reasons why I never liked to be labeled a psychic.
I think there's a definite difference there between being labeled just a psychic, but then having the gift of discernment.
Right.
St. Paul wrote about in the Bible. The gift of discernment is something that I believe it's a God-given ability, God-given gift, and it protects you and it protects others. There's a reason that you have it.
Right.
You've got these different spirits coming at you, and you've got to be able to, or sometimes, as we were speaking about earlier, sometimes it's not a spiritual situation at all. It could be a psychological situation and everything. So it's very, very important that you have some sense to be able to discern what is spiritual, what is psychological,
Exactly.
what is angelic, what is potentially demonic.
Like I told Eric, we went into this one case in New Jersey, and he was about to tell me about the case, to fill me in. It's like, look, I don't want to know anything about this case. Let me just go there and see what I feel.
By the time we were done, he knew exactly what was going on.
Yeah, I mean, something, as soon as I walked into the house, the spirit of this gentleman started pushing me. And literally, he was pushing me, like he was pushing me into the house, like guiding me into certain rooms. And he pushed me right in front of his picture that was on the wall.
Oh, really?
And then he was giving me these messages throughout this whole investigation of this house. And I had to talk to his mother-in-law. I had to talk, give a message to his daughter.
Yes.
I knew how he died.
And I hadn't even told him. He was earthbound. And Dan he knew exactly what was going on. He unfortunately passed away in an accident, a car accident, and he was earthbound. And he was haunting the home of his wife with her new husband and the children.
I think he was sticking around for his daughter.
Yep.
He wanted to tell his daughter that, that she's okay. The things that she was going through in life, it wasn't her fault. And I don't know, it was just weird how it comes to me sometimes. But those are the messages that they wanted to come through me to tell the family. And I think we did our job without doing a paranormal investigation of the home.
And I love that. We didn't rely at all on equipment, which is the more I do this work, I rely a lot less on equipment. When I started, REM pod here, K2 here, break out the spirit box. I like that stuff, but to see him do his thing, it was.
At the end of the investigation, after that session, interviewing the family, I'm apologizing to these guys. I'm sorry you guys didn't get more
I brought all this equipment.
Right, exactly. Well, I do frequently mention that when somebody gets into the field of investigating and actually helping people, you don't really need to go out and break the bank. You see all this equipment on the TV shows, but I mean, your greatest tool is yourself.
Yeah.
Your God-given discernment and intuition, things like that. Everything else is secondary to me.
Right. The story, the background, I think that's the most important. The history, you're bringing that to light. And that's what makes it interesting. That's why I love this. Yeah. Because I love to get into somebody's past and dig into it and try to find the answers.
Oh yeah.
That's the best part of it. I mean, the equipment, I was never too much into the equipment.
Right.
Sometimes that gets on my nerves with,
right.
With the equipment.
I joined the team. It's like Eric's got like 14 spirit boxes.
To me, equipment can be used for verification.
Yes.
Often after the fact.
Yes.
Right. Like I said, everyone has a different
Exactly.
way of investigating, the scientific approach to it. Like you and myself, we go in there with our gut feelings and use that knowledge that we have when we dig in deep.
Right.
And when you're dealing with something too that's non-human, like a demonic haunting.
Oh yeah.
I went on a case with Jim once. It was like my first legit case with the team. Within 5 minutes of standing in this house, I just felt it. It really did not feel good in that house. It was weighing me down. I thought I was going to pass out. I felt like I was going to get sick. I kept having to go outside and catch my breath. And this was before we broke out any equipment. We were just talking with the client. So the more I do this, I really rely a lot less on equipment. So it was a lot different when I started. I was really big on the equipment side of things.
But we learned a lot from the Warrens, but we also learned a lot from you. I mean,
thank you.
Shows that you worked on. I remember watching a show that you worked on. It was a case that was down in Louisiana. And actually, I got into what you were doing there and how you approached the investigations. And I said, well, no, he's got it, and that's how I approach investigations. And you took it there. You felt like what was going on in the house. You were right. You were accurate to what was going on in the house. I think it was that was about there was mirrors. They were opening up portals. In the home.
Carl was down there, and he was paid a lot of attention to the mirrors and how it was affecting the family and such. And, yeah. But what was it like, Dan? Tell us what it was like to work with Lorraine Warren. Actually, work with Lorraine.
Let me tell you this. She was down to earth. She was a loving person. And what I took from her, like I said before, was the compassion, the love, and how she cared about her clients. She was like the grandmother you will always want. You know, when I went on cases with her, Lorraine would know how to walk in a house. Like, she would take off. She was 78 years old, and boom, she's gone. She's already in the room that has all the activity. She's communicating with these spirits. It's kind of funny. When she did this first investigation I went on with her, I never heard Lorraine swear before.
Really?
And whatever was communicating through her, they were swearing at her and calling her names, and she was just repeating what they were saying.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, you know, and she was just a special person. Right to the end of the days that she had, you know, before she had passed away, the day before, I'm sitting by her bedside and I'm looking into her eyes. Like, Lorraine had these crystal blue eyes, and I would just gaze into her eyes, and I would get lost in her eyes because her eyes were telling a million stories. Without her speaking, you could just feel all this energy coming from her. And she was very special to me.
Right.
And 2 weeks prior to when she had passed away, I had a dream about Ed. Ed was in my dream, and I was walking into the house, and Ed greeted me at the door. I'm like, Ed, why are you here? And he looked at me and says, you could go home now, son.
Really?
I'm going to take care of her now.
Oh,
and
that's
all I could
beautiful.
see was Lorraine in the background, putting her scarf on, getting ready to, like, she's going out for the night, you know? She wasn't sick. And Ed said I could go home now.
That's beautiful.
And 2 weeks later, she had passed away. I thought that was very special, and I could just picture Ed and teeth that were missing in his mouth, you know, molars that were missing, the jacket that he was wearing. It's kind of funny, the jacket that he was wearing in that dream.
Jacket.
I was in the museum cleaning out the upper loft of the museum, and I found that jacket upstairs in the upper loft. And I brought it back downstairs, and I put it on his chair
in his office.
In his office, that's where it belonged. But that was the same jacket that was in my dream.
Wow, that's wonderful. And you weren't familiar with that jacket?
No, nope.
Wow.
And I even to the molars that were missing in his mouth, I didn't even know he had molars missing until I spoke to his daughter Judy, and she said, yeah, he did.
Wow. Now, of course, both of you have been on the heavier cases and everything. Well, somebody who's kind of a novice getting into the field, they find it interesting, and they do want to help people as well with having problems like a residential case. What would you tell somebody starting out? Because you guys have been into really, really heavy stuff. So
You want to start?
I don't think they should jump right into a dangerous case.
And some people do.
Right from the start, but spiritual protection is what's most important. I always make sure I have holy water on me, third-class relics, and it's important to be with a couple of people that know what they're doing, that have done this before. Don't just, form a ghost hunting group and take on a demonic case, because it's dangerous.
You got to be a people person. You got to know what you communicate to your clients, because you're affecting that family one way or the other, and what kind of advice you're giving them. You got to make sure that they're taken care of. They're not going to hurt themselves. You got to make sure that their mind is there 100%. We could be dealing with mental issues. How are you going to approach that? How are you going to take care of that situation? So it doesn't lead into an investigation right away. You got to make sure that all psychological issues are taken care of before you can help a family. And getting the church involved as well, and how much they're committed in accepting our help and following the directions that we give them. We can only provide so much help for them. You can lead them on the right path, but then you need to walk away, and they need to continue that journey by themselves. Because like I was telling you before, you get sucked into it, and emotionally you get too involved.
Yes.
And they need to take responsibilities for themselves as well. And a lot of these hauntings, the demonic hauntings that people are afflicted with, are because of personal issues that they've dealt with in the past, and they haven't come to terms with their issues. And our job is to point that out, get them the right help, and and they need to do the work themselves. We can't be holding their hands 24/7.
That's very true. Very true. And do you gentlemen find that demonic cases are on the rise, that they have increased at all?
Want me to answer that?
Sure.
I think the days that we're living in now, there are a lot more cases like that. I think in this society, they want to take God out of our daily lives, not mention his name. And our kids lost that knowledge. And that might be that's our generation, that's our fault, because we didn't teach our kids about God.
Right.
And they're taking God out of schools. They're taking taking God out of politics. Our country was founded in the name of God. And I think that we're losing our values. Right. And I think a lot of people are being affected. Everything that's happening in the world today is a demonic influence, I believe.
I agree.
What's happening overseas, Afghanistan, what's happening in our country today. And it's sad because, you know, if you look at the dollar bill, in God we trust, you know, our founding fathers, you know, how we formed our nation. They're trying to take this all away from us, erase history. And we can't let that happen. We got to, you know, protect that.
Yeah.
And I think, like I said, everything you see on TV, what's going on, we're not getting the real story when we watch news, you know.
Right.
And but the ones that could see the reality of it and what's really happening, you know, it's kind of frustrating that this is happening to us, you know, today.
Right.
But that's all demonic influence. I mean, it's written in the Bible that this was going to happen.
Right.
You know, in the book of Timothy, it explains, you know, everything that's happening today is being explained in the book of Timothy. It's being explained in the book of Revelations, and they're warning us, you know. But if we, you know, walk away from God, you know, we're not getting these messages that God left for us, these signs that he left for us, that this was going to happen. We're here to witness all this.
Dan, did you ever get a chance to work with Bishop McKenna?
I didn't work with Bishop McKenna. I worked with Father Rodriguez, which studied under Bishop McKenna.
Yes.
And Father Rodriguez is a traditional Catholic priest. And we still work with the church. He's performed about 7 exorcisms for us about last year. Can't go too in depth with it.
But you are involved in that aspect of it.
Them,
yeah,
yes.
the deliverance and the actual exorcism.
In the church.
Yes.
Sometimes, like I said, I have to go to Mass in order for Father Rodriguez to help me. If I don't go to Mass, then he's not gonna, you know, he won't help me.
Right.
So I gotta make sure when I go to Mass, I gotta sit in the center of the church, make sure he sees me there, and then, okay, Dan, I'll help you.
Right.
You know, but no, he's a really good guy. I mean, he's really, he's a pious priest. If you ever meet him, he dresses up like a monk. You know, you could tell when you meet somebody, they're a good person.
Yes,
you could see their heart.
Right.
And it's like I'm looking at him. It's like, you know, Father, you're going to be a bishop. You're going to be the next bishop.
Right.
And he looked at me with a smile. You know. But no, I like working with the church. I like going down that road, the aspect of helping people through the church. I think that's when NESPR was founded, is that they always worked with priests.
Ed and Lorraine were always working with the church.
Yes.
I don't think there's many teams out there nowadays that do that.
That's a good point. A lot of teams don't. And I know it's not something we can really prove, I mean, to the diehard skeptic and such, but what about those who question the reality of the demonic?
I think those who question the reality of demonic, I don't think they will question it anymore if they were in a room with somebody that was possessed.
Absolutely.
Yes, yeah.
You know, and even doctors could be in the same room and they will look at it, okay, that's a mental, somebody that's dealing with mental issues. But when you see the demonic in someone and you see their eyes roll back to the back of their heads.
It's terrifying.
You see the language that they're speaking in our different tongues. And I was telling Eric before, I would love to walk away from this.
Yeah.
Well, for what I've seen,
Very draining.
you know, after working on cases like that this is it. This is my last
Seeing
one.
what people are going through.
And,
You ever say that to yourselves? This is the last one. I'm not going back.
this is the last one. I'm not doing it again. And then when that happens, as soon as you say that, you get 3 more phone calls.
At once.
You know, and it drags you right back in.
Right.
I don't know why. You know, I love this field. I love helping people. But it drains. It drains you.
Sure.
And it takes a lot out of you. It affects your family.
Yes.
And so you need to know when to back away
Right.
and heal yourself before you could go out again and
I
help
think that's
somebody.
very, very
cases.
important for people to know.
Right.
Got to back off sometimes. Have some time for yourself.
Yeah. And it does affect you and your family life and everything like that.
Oh, it does. It does. It puts a strain on them.
Yeah.
And even Father Rodriguez says, I can't do this without my family. He married me into the Catholic Church. I shouldn't have never been married in the Catholic Church. So, but he took me on, and he married me. I got baptized. Tony Spera's my godfather.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah.
But no, I have a lot of respect for the
Yeah.
church and what they do.
Yeah.
I know you see on TV people going and doing exorcisms, but they're not a priest.
Yes. Yeah.
But I believe in, if it's true to their heart and they're speaking the word of God, that they could drive out demons. But you need to make sure that you're pious. You're 100%, those words mean something
Absolutely.
in order for it
Exactly.
to work.
Exactly.
So that's why I like working with the church. But if somebody is true to their heart and that's what they love to do, I think those words are very powerful.
Very well said. I'm glad you explained that. Yeah. So we have a convention coming up soon. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys there.
Yeah, well, we're doing the Warren Secrets of the Supernatural Paracon in October. You're going to be a part of it. Your brother's going to be a part of it.
Yeah.
We're going to have some great speakers. We got Ryan Buell there.
Yeah.
We got James and Netto going to be there. We have
Sandra will be there. My wife Sandra.
Sandra's going to be there. Fred Richards talking about UFOs. We're going to have a cryptozoologist there. So it's going to be a mixture of covering the whole paranormal agenda.
It almost seems like, how could Ed and Lorraine not be there, you know?
Well, we're honoring Ed and Lorraine.
Yes.
And that's why we're calling it the Warren Secrets of the Supernatural Paracon.
Right.
Because back in, I think it was the late 80s and 90s, they had their own public access channel with Tony.
Seekers of the
Secrets of the
Supernatural.
Supernatural.
Yes, yep. And that's going to be continuing. I saw that's going to be continuing. They're going to be doing more shows.
Yep.
Well-
So it's great. Like I said, we're keeping the tradition going.
Yeah.
And keeping their name alive.
We're here because of them. So
Yeah.
You can see
Great.
the movies, but knowing their history, you know, I think is the most important part.
Right. Well, we're about out of time already. I knew this would just fly by. I just knew it. I knew
Yeah,
it.
we could go on forever.
I know. It's like we're just getting started. But promise, guys, you'll be back on our show again.
Oh, thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
Great.
We'd love to.
Great. That would be great. And our prayers are with you for your future endeavors as well. And I know you're doing great work. And really, really means something. And yeah, the demonic keeps tabs on us, but so does the angelic.
Yes.
And we have the Holy Spirit guiding us.
You ever feel like you have that natural protection?
Yes, indeed.
You know, and that's what it is with
you're called to it.
Well, at least with us. I mean, I feel like we have that natural protection.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you guys. God bless. And I'll see you both very, very soon.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Good night.